It's the Poojie Podcast, proudly sponsored by Cimarron Golf Club. What is going on, Pooj Crew? Thank you for being here for episode 88 on this beautiful Saturday. We're recording right here in North Florida. Gonna enjoy this weekend for sure. Some Jumbo Shrimp baseball going on down in downtown Jacksonville. Gonna have owner Ken Babby jump on the podcast this coming week. I'm looking forward to that, and you should as well. He is a great guest and a lot of fun to talk to. If you've never heard him talk about his passion for the game, definitely check out Ken Babby's interview coming up this week. Very much looking forward to that. But today, episode 88, going to be a great episode, kind of continuing some football talk. We just released episode 87 last week on Thursday. Go check that out. We recapped the NFL draft and focused in on the Jacksonville Jaguars, 9 selections. Obviously, mostly the first 4 or 5 rounds. The later rounds we were not too concerned about, but Luke joins me here today. You've seen him on episodes before, and I know he's excited to be here. Luke, thanks for joining the podcast, man.
Yeah, episode 88, the Greg Olsen episode. I actually just looked it up to make sure he was number 88. So we went with Gronk yesterday, 87, and now we're doing the 88 episode with Greg Olsen. So two tight ends. 2 great tight ends.
Right? I think that's kind of ironic how we remember numbers of just great tight ends because they're few and far between. So you remember these tight end guys. I'll go with, was Demaryius Thomas 88 on the Broncos, or was Michael Irvin 88 with the Cowboys?
I believe.
Dez Bryant. We'll go with Dez Bryant. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think Demaryius Thomas was 88 on the Broncos.
And you know what? We just talked about the Georgia Tech receiver Jalen Camp coming to Jacksonville, so we gotta give a shout out to Demaryius Thomas for the Georgia Tech ties there. But I'm excited for this episode. 3 parts to this episode. We're gonna get into a little bit of the Aaron Rodgers trade rumors, which I know are swirling about. It's looking like the Wizard of Oz out there. There's a tornado coming through the NFL world with Aaron Rodgers. Never has an NFL MVP gotten traded after his MVP season. We'll dive into some of the Tim Tebow rumors here in Jacksonville, and then we will cap it off tonight with the UCF players being drafted into the NFL. And what does that mean for the UCF program? We've put out other UCF videos in the past, and just a lot of excitement around that program right now, as much as the haters want to hate it. But, Luke, let's get into Aaron Rodgers first and foremost. Where does Aaron Rodgers, I guess, rank for you right now? 37 years old. Where is he in your hierarchy of quarterbacks within the NFL?
I would put him, if I was drafting like a fantasy draft right now, for actual teams, not like for fantasy football, but for like an actual team as a GM, it'd probably be Mahomes just because he's younger and has a lot more time. Then probably Russell Wilson, and then maybe going with Aaron Rodgers. But if you go with Aaron Rodgers, you're going to win now mode because he has a few years left. You don't know how much longer, but he is definitely my top 3, I would say, if I was going to be a GM and drafting for the future.
Yeah, and we look at a lot of the teams in the NFL. There's some teams that are ready to win now. There's some teams that are still a few years away, and you know, we're sitting in the city with one of those teams that's a few years away. And I mean, let's just get address the elephant in the room. Would you prefer at this point right now Aaron Rodgers or Trevor Lawrence when it comes to the direction of the Jaguars today? And you're getting Aaron Rodgers at 37 or Trevor Lawrence at 22 or however old he is.
So the mindset of we know what we're getting with Aaron Rodgers is enticing because you know you're getting top level quality quarterback play, which Jacksonville has been lacking for quite a while now. But the age difference and the way the Jaguars are set up right now, we're not in a win now mode. So I think having Trevor Lawrence, and everyone has these great expectations for him going forward, and we think we know what we're getting. So I think going forward, I think Trevor Lawrence is better for Jacksonville just because we're not in a win now mode and we have more time.
Yeah, and you look at Trevor Lawrence, 15 years younger than what Aaron Rodgers is right now. I mean, you'd like to think within that 15 years, Trevor Lawrence can possibly become what Aaron Rodgers has become, if not more. I know that's what us in Jacksonville are thinking. But let's maybe go back and forth, a little battle royale style with our teams that we like to potentially make the trade, or that we think make the trade, or maybe teams that should make the trade that might not make the trade for Aaron Rodgers. First and foremost, will Aaron Rodgers be staying in Green Bay? 15 seconds. Go for it, Luke.
I think if the front office has anything to do with it, no. If Aaron Rodgers had anything to do with it, absolutely. It's kind of like Jacksonville, where we had Jalen Ramsey, great player, but didn't want to play for us. So you're not going to get the best. So might as well trade him away for a handsome king's ransom. So I don't think he will be.
You don't think he'll be traded? I don't think so either. Simply because I feel like, you don't think he'll be in Green Bay, or you don't think he'll be traded?
I don't think he'll be traded, but it also comes down to he might not be playing at his best if he doesn't like being there.
A little James Harden syndrome,
or a little Jalen Ramsey back issues.
Yeah, finding any reason not to be on the field. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's so funny to me that Green Bay has really just fumbled the bag on this whole situation. But Luke, your first team that you want to look at and maybe highlight in this, who do you got?
So I am going with a team that I really like. They're in the NFC. I don't know if the Green Bay Packers would want to trade Aaron Rodgers, to the NFC, because then you're potentially cutting yourself short in the playoffs before reaching the Super Bowl. But I love Washington. They have a great defense, and pairing a great defense with an offense that didn't really have a quarterback last year, they still made playoffs. They took the Bucs to the wire in that playoff game. I mean, putting Aaron Rodgers on that team, that is something very scary, and they could make a real push with their defense, how it's set up, and then having an offense with Scary Terry and a decent tight end. I think that team could make a really good push if they had a quarterback of Aaron Rodgers' caliber. My question to you would be, if Aaron Rodgers was traded to the Washington football team, what would you, as GM of the Green Bay Packers, want in compensation? Any of the players from Washington? Or,
I mean, it's tough, right? You look at compensation for a guy like Aaron Rodgers. You imagine within a trade, there's always going to be first rounders, probably some second rounders, and you're almost mortgaging the whole future of the team in the short term for one guy in the short term, possibly 2 or 3 draft picks with one marquee player. But if I'm the Green Bay Packers, you've looked at the defensive side of the ball for them. They've always lacked pass rush, and I think this is where the trade would get held up. I think Chase Young would maybe be the only suitable piece that Washington would be able to offer for Aaron Rodgers, unless it came down to offering maybe one of those supplemental pass rushers that they have. I know they have a variety of defensive players. We talk about their defense that they could maybe package with a few firsts and a few seconds. But if you're looking at a straight up player to player trade, if you're taking the Packers' best player on offense, I guess Devontae Adams is there, but you got to be getting the best player in return, and that would be Chase Young, in my opinion. There, I think Washington would be a great fit for him. I'm going to go a little bit off the beaten path for my first team, and it pains me to say this, but how crazy would it be for Aaron Rodgers to get traded to the Tennessee Titans? I think the Titans, you know exactly what you're getting in the Titans year in and year out. And I ultimately think Aaron Rodgers adds a different dynamic to this team. They've been such a run-first, run-heavy team, and I think that has kind of helped Ryan Tannehill become the top 10, top 15 quarterback we've seen him become. I think if you put Aaron Rodgers in that system, granted they did just lose Corey Davis on the offensive side of the ball, but that team becomes scary. And they lost Jonnu Smith, but that team does become scary in Tennessee. I don't know how I'd feel about that as a Jaguar fan. What say you, Luke?
Yeah, when you look at Tennessee, it's like that you think of Derrick Henry and trucking Jacksonville Jaguars defenders for 99 yards. Just a run-first team with a serviceable quarterback that has average receivers. But if you put a great quarterback in there, then you have a really balanced team. So you're not just run. You actually have some deep threats too, with Aaron Rodgers just slinging it. I wouldn't like that personally, because then the Jaguars would have to be playing Aaron Rodgers and Derrick Henry. We can't catch a break on either side. But I think it would be a decent fit. I just don't know. He'd be going into a system with not really great weapons for receivers. Yeah. I mean, they have who was it? Hollywood Brown, is he on the Titans?
No, he's on the Ravens right now, I think.
Who is the one I was thinking of? They have
Well,
one of the.
they have Corey Davis and the other receiver was Corey Davis the one that played with DK Metcalf in college? No, they
No,
have
DK was at Ole Miss and Corey Davis.
the other guy from Ole Miss is on the Titans. Number 11, I think it is. I can't think of his name. It's slipping my mind. But
yeah,
let me look this up real quick. Titans. But let's go ahead with your AJ Brown. Sorry,
AJ Brown. That I knew it was a one of the Browns, and I couldn't remember if it was Hollywood or AJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like him for Aaron Rodgers to throw to, but maybe they need somebody else out there, especially losing Johnny Smith. I mean, I don't know who else they brought in at tight end.
Yeah.
But going to the Green Bay, though, when you think of Aaron Rodgers, they have a decent running back, but I wouldn't really consider him the Derrick Henry, the Nick Chubbs, the Todd Gurley's back in when he was tearing it up. They don't have that set running back that's going to go pound the rock for at least 4 or 5 yards every carry. So can you imagine Derrick Henry and Aaron Rodgers? I mean, either way, if you're throwing it or handing it off, that's tough to stop.
Yeah. It's like a Madden Ultimate Team right there with them. But let's go with your second team, moving on from the Titans.
So again, I think they would trade to the AFC if they wanted to trade it, because it's potentially you don't have to play him in the playoffs, and that's always something that you want to avoid, playing a great quarterback in the playoffs. So looking in the AFC, there's actually a few teams I would think are in kind of a win now mode, and I think the Denver Broncos are there. They have some good receivers and some solid defense. And as soon as they didn't take a quarterback at pick 9 or pick 8, whichever pick they had, I thought immediately that they were going to be going hard for Aaron Rodgers, and they still might be. Their defense is in win now mode. These guys are really good. They have decent receivers. So I can just see this team with good quarterback play making a push. Now, again, you do have the Chiefs in that conference or that division, but they could easily be the second best team in that division. And with Aaron Rodgers, potentially be the first best team.
Yeah, you mentioned Jerry Jeudy there. You mentioned you got Noah Fant still there. Cortland Sutton is still there.
Yeah, they have some really solid receivers. I like them. They're young guys, but they're really good.
Yeah, like they have a pretty decent offense, and their defense, while it is on the older side, or it's trending in the more experienced veteran direction, not too many young pieces. That would be a fun fit for him. I think that'd be a solid fit, and obviously with the situation there with Peyton Manning going to Denver a few years ago before he retired, it almost seems like this similar situation with Aaron Rodgers maybe finding his way to Denver for a Super Bowl run with the Broncos. I am gonna go to the NFC side, and I'm gonna go with the Carolina Panthers.
They're good too.
As my second team. You mentioned the Broncos not drafting a quarterback. Ironically enough, both these teams drafted cornerbacks in the first round of the draft with J.C. Horn and Patrick Surtain. I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers. They trade for Sam Darnold. They don't pick up his fifth-year option. They have some pieces there at the wide receiver position, but I don't necessarily want to say they're in a win-now mode, but I feel like they have win-now potential. You get Christian McCaffrey back healthy. You get an Aaron Rodgers to step in there in Carolina. You're looking at least 11 or 12 wins if both of them remain healthy in immediate competition to the Buccaneers in the NFC South. We're looking at Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady 2 times a year. If this happens, that'd be awesome as a fan to watch. And the Saints are kind of reeling right now. And the Falcons are trying to rebuild. So I feel like that'd be a decent situation for him to go in and compete and have some fun trying to knock off Tom Brady 2 times a year. So I'm going to go with Carolina as my second team.
Could you imagine if he was there last year? Would that be the best division with all the quarterbacks they have, just by quarterback perspective? Yeah. Matt Breeze, Aaron Rodgers, and Tom Brady. That would be an insane division just by quarterback play.
Yeah, that's like the part of the modern era Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks in the last 15 years right there.
Absolutely.
With those guys. Who do you got? Third team.
Third team, I'm stuck in between the Browns. I mean, the Browns are definitely in a win now mode. They seem primed and ready. And Baker Mayfield, I know, had a decent season last year, but the upgrade from Baker to Aaron Rodgers is actually pretty massive. To be throwing to OBJ, to Jarvis Landry, having that Nick Chubb, Alvin Kamara 2-punch combo, and their defense is not something to laugh at either. I just don't know if they have the capital, minus trading away a few that they have good players that they would have to get rid of if they wanted that, but I think they're very scary if they had consistent quarterback play. Baker's good and then he's not good. So, I mean, they lost to the Jets when they were a playoff team. You can't have that as a quarterback. So,
Yeah.
if you just plug and play Aaron Rodgers onto that Browns team, they could easily be 14 wins, I think.
For sure. I mean, that's a great situation to go into, which no one would have ever said about Cleveland the last 30 or 40 years. But it's a situation right now that I think a lot of players are going there to play. I know they just signed Jadeveon Clowney as well on the defensive side. Maybe that frees up, one of their top tier defensive edge rushers like a Myles Garrett in a trade that.
Did you see Myles Garrett making that draft pick? In a suit. It looked like one of those like puff suits that you buy from for Halloween at Party City, where it's just like fake muscles, but it's real. It's like, oh my God, this guy's insane.
Was it Myles Garrett or was it Aaron Donald that did that video during the draft of like them jumping out of the pool?
I believe Aaron Donald.
Okay, I was about to say, because I feel like Myles Garrett is that kind of athlete as well. He's just insane, and I feel like that might be a comparable trade there with the talent on both ends. And the Packers, again, they get a decent edge rusher, a great edge rusher, for a long time coming. I'll go with my third team here. I'm going to stay in the NFC, and I think you just mentioned it there with Baker Mayfield. I think what we have to establish in this trade, like we mentioned with compensation, the quarterback of the receiving team is going to be shipping theirs away. You mentioned with Baker Mayfield going. I mentioned Ryan Tannehill going. I think an interesting one to keep an eye on is the Seattle Seahawks. You look at Russell Wilson has kind of expressed some unhappiness in Seattle, and now Aaron Rodgers is a little unhappy in Green Bay. I mean, could you imagine both, honestly, top 10 receiving cores in the NFL? Granted, Davante Adams is keeping the Green Bay Packers one afloat at the top, but Aaron Rodgers goes to Seattle and has a receiving core that he's never had before. And then Russell Wilson comes to Green Bay and has Davante Adams, which would probably be the best receiver he's ever played with. So both those guys could be happy. The running back situation in Seattle is a little cloudy. I think Aaron Jones is maybe a better running back out of the whole situation. But if you're the Seahawks or you're the Packers, do you make that trade straight up? Aaron Rodgers for Russell Wilson.
You get more longevity with Russell Wilson. I can see why you would. From Seattle's standpoint, I don't know if that would be smart because you're getting rid of years, but you're getting, I guess, maybe a better passer. He's not as much of a scrambler, but he's a better passer, and he's just like crazy intelligent. If you have too many men on the field, he's going to get you every time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the Seattle Seahawks probably would look for some more because of simply the years. And I have Russell Wilson in my top 5 quarterbacks, and I have Aaron Rodgers in my top 5 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you just look at that, you might want to look for some more from Seattle. But I like that. The last time Aaron Rodgers had great receivers was J.J. Nelson, Randall Cobb, Davante Adams.
Oh, with Jordy Nelson and
Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb, and then Davante Adams. I mean, that was the last time he had a real solid receiver core, and now he's got Davante Adams. Yeah,
Davante Adams and MVS and another St. Brown guy, DeQuery, whatever his name is. I can't even pronounce
Allen
it.
Lazard.
Allen Lazard, right? The former Jacksonville Jaguar, Allen Lazard, making a name for himself. Well, let's each do 2 more teams. Luke, we'll swing it back to you to round out your top 4. What's your 4th team?
I would pick another AFC team, the Miami Dolphins. Like, when you watched them play last year, there was a game against, I don't remember who they were playing, but it was Tua's maybe first game or second game. and the defense alone probably put up 21 points.
Okay.
Like it was insane. So the defense is there in primes, and they have some stud receivers. They have Devontae Parker. They just got Jalen Waddle. I mean, they could make a real push with consistent. It's again going back to consistency at the quarterback play. And Tua, I mean, watching it, a bunch of Dolphins fans were like, well, "Yeah, we won the game," but Tua did not perform well. The defense really stepped up and helped out with that.
Yeah.
And you don't want to rely on that. Us as Jags fans know that you can't just strictly rely on defense to go out there and win you the game. That's just going to cause problems in the long run. But I think if you have solid quarterback play, following it to two good receivers in Devontae Parker and Jalen Waddle. Oh, and they also got who was the Texans receiver? Will Fuller. He's a deep threat too. So those are three solid receivers. If Aaron Rodgers is throwing it to them with, again, I keep picking teams with solid defenses and average offenses, or just maybe good offenses, just inconsistent quarterback play. Again, This is another fit where it looks like they might even have draft capital to give away. Say, hey, we want Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. No, I hear you. They got draft capital. They got 2 first-rounders next year. They have the pieces there. The building blocks are there, and this is the kind of team where it's like, okay, they really are a quarterback away. And for the Dolphins fans' sake, they believe that Tua is that guy and will become that guy, which the jury is still out. I hate trying to, judge quarterbacks after one season. But from what we did see, it didn't look like it was trending in a top 10 direction for Tua. Maybe, another year coming off that injury he had at Alabama, maybe he'll be more comfortable, another year in the scheme, buying into the scheme, whatever the case may be. There's so many factors. I think that'd be so fun. And hey, it's a great weather environment. Maybe Aaron Rodgers says, 16 years in the snow and in the weather in Green Bay, he finally gets to come down to a vacation type atmosphere, kind of like how Tom Brady did with Tampa a few months ago, back last offseason before the season started. So I'll go with my fourth team. I think this is kind of like a little bit of a sleeper team because this team was involved in a pretty big trade. And I'll save my number one team for last. I hope you don't take it next, but you might. But my wild card team is going to be the Los Angeles Rams. I think they traded for Matthew Stafford, so people are counting them out of the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. But I think when you look at that team makeup, they are fully prepared to make a run right now. 4 seasons ago, they put all this money into so many different players, Marcus Peters among others, with Jalen Ramsey, so many guys on the defensive side of the ball. Michael Brockers, you obviously have Aaron Donald, and they came up just short. They had a Super Bowl against the Patriots. They didn't win the Super Bowl that year. They were close, and now they're kind of feeling those negative effects of all that money going into certain players. They still have Sean McVay there in LA. He's obviously a young coach that a lot of people want to play for. I think the LA Rams is something to look at. Plus, obviously, with Aaron Rodgers being from California, going back to his home state, played football at Cal. I think this might be a little under the radar match made in heaven for Aaron Rodgers and the LA Rams.
Yeah, I like that. It's just kind of funny when you think like Aaron Rodgers goes out, he puts on a Rams hat and then instantly gets switched back over, but he would get to play the Lions twice. He could just go dominate the Lions 2 times every year, and he might just be like, can I please just destroy that team?
Yeah.
For wasting away my career.
Yeah,
that would be so funny.
And honestly, as the Packers, you get Matt Stafford, who I would say, I mean, if you had to pick a player to play for 5 more years between Rodgers and Stafford, it'd be tough. But I think Stafford still has some years left in him. It's not like you're getting a journeyman quarterback as the Packers. You still have a veteran guy to play, in front of Jordan Love for a few more years of experience. I think it kind of makes pretty perfect sense. But let's go to you for your 5th team in the Aaron Rodgers carousel of teams. Who's your 5th team?
So before I say my 5th team, I think Matt Stafford is probably one of my most underrated quarterbacks in the entire league. There was a game last year. He had a no-look touchdown pass, thread the needle. And if that was Patrick Mahomes, it would be plastered all over ESPN. But since he's not the flagship NFL star boy, no one really saw it. But I think Matt Stafford is really underrated and has great football left in front of him. But for my last team, you touched on an AFC South team. I'm going to touch on an AFC South team. We're going to hate it if that happens. But the Colts defense win now for sure. That's a top 5 defense. They are stout and solid all around the football. Now, the receiving core isn't quite what you want it to be. But in Indianapolis, you have Carson Wentz, which we all know the story about him and the Eagles. It was nice. Then the honeymoon period ended and everything fell off. So now we don't know what we're getting coming to the Colts back with Frank Reich. But I think just solely on defense again, the Colts have a top 5 defense. They could easily win the AFC South this year with good quarterback play. I think they could. They're still the favorites even with Carson Wentz. It's either them or the Titans, I would say, as favorites. But with Aaron Rodgers, they would be cemented as a favorite in the AFC South and just take that team potentially to meeting the Chiefs in a conference championship game.
Yeah, obviously still got to get over the Chiefs and still got to get over the Bucs no matter what division or what conference you're in. But 100% Colts win the AFC South if Aaron Rodgers becomes an Indianapolis Colt. What you mentioned about the receiving core, obviously that's going to raise some eyebrows. He's obviously complained already about not having enough receiving weapons with the Packers. I don't know if he'd want to go to a situation that's a little bit worse in that regard. Obviously,
yeah, that's why I don't think it would happen. It's my last team. Just simply the receiving core isn't there. I mean, T.Y. Hilton isn't exactly what he used to be. C.J. Henderson kind of kept him in check when we played him last year, and you don't want to see that for a rookie corner to be shutting down your premier receiver. You don't really want to see that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, they do have Jonathan Taylor. They still have Marlon Mack, who is, kind of that running back 1-2 punch right there. Could be a good fit. I'm going to go with my 5th team, maybe my number 1 team. I think you and I went in reverse orders here. I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers. Again, going back out to California, going back home. He grew up a 49ers fan. He was a big fan of them. And everyone's going to say, oh, the 49ers just drafted Trey Lance. Well, you drafted the 3rd quarterback in the draft. This wasn't the number 1 guy in the draft. 3rd quarterback in the draft. Aaron Rodgers was drafted in the 1st round as well, and he sat behind Brett Favre for a few seasons. I don't think Trey Lance would have any issue sitting behind a guy like Aaron Rodgers. At the end of the day, Trey Lance is still going to get paid like the 3rd overall quarterback on his rookie deal, 3rd overall pick. It's not going to affect him with the dollar amount, and he gets to learn and sit behind somebody. I think the 49ers recognize Trey Lance not only played at the FCS level at North Dakota State, did not play as many games this past season because of the COVID-19 issues. I think if he can recognize that, he would kind of see welcoming Aaron Rodgers as a nice learning experience for him. Hold a clipboard, learn from one of the best, and step in 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road when it's time. Aaron Rodgers can retire, go host Jeopardy, and have fun for his TV career before he joins Fox and does TV analyst for TV. I don't actually even know if Aaron Rodgers would be good on TV, to be honest. His personality seems a little bit like drywall, but
apparently he really loved that Jeopardy gig, though. He said he could see himself doing that.
I feel like he's the kind of guy that would prefer to host Jeopardy rather than commentate Sunday Night Football.
Absolutely. He's not Tony Romo. He's kind of the guy that wants to go out there and just do something simple like Jeopardy. He doesn't want to be talking too much. It's just simple. Oh, next question. Read the question.
I like joke. It. Exactly, right? And he just kind of smirks and fake smiles. Well, touched on 10 teams there. Obviously, a number of teams still in play. There's about 30 teams in the NFL that could probably benefit from getting Aaron Rodgers. I think some of the top ones we didn't mention, the Las Vegas Raiders, Pittsburgh Steelers is another one, and the New York Giants. Philadelphia Eagles is even a sleeper. So there's a number of ways we could have gone with this. Obviously, we kind of went with the teams that are in win now mode, where he steps in and can be a Super Bowl contender immediately. That's kind of the direction that we headed.